Good morning. Mr. Ismail, thank you so much. Ooh, wow, we got Regional Vice President, Ms. Jocelyn Driscoll dropping in on us today. Ooh, wow. Wow, she must heard who our guest speaker is going to be. Hey, Mr. Jordan Say, good morning, sir. Ms. Joyce Brewer, good seeing you out this morning. Regional Director, Ms. Natasha Ismail, thank you. And what a great presentation you did last night. Thank you so much. Ms. Castro in Phoenix, Arizona, thank you so much, young lady. See you on there. Miss Jones from Crew out there in South Carolina, thank you for joining us. Mr. Jenkins, sir, I see you getting in the groove with these calls now out there in South Carolina with Crew as well. Miss Embori Shelton, thank you so much there in Houston, Texas. Miss Zori Duffy, thank you so much for joining the call. Hey, we got a great call. As you all know, this young man is just one of my favorite trainers. And when he did a talk on May 14th, he did a phenomenal talk on let me make sure that was right there. No, 14, that's right. May 14th, he kind of gurgitated some of the stuff that Jim Rohn's 13 quotes that I wrote down. I was studying this morning as I got back after taking my walk. And he said one of the things that really hit home with me was number 4, motivation alone is not enough. Motivation alone is not enough. I'm thrilled to be on. Thank you, Ms. Driscoll. Hey, motivation alone is just not enough. And he gave us all these points. And I know, see, sometimes you write it down, but regurgitate it back. Study. Some of my leaders, I sent some stuff out the other day to study. Now, one of the things that the gentleman who's going to be speaking, you all know, he's been on here many times. Matter of fact, he's going to be with us every Thursday in the month. That's right, in the whole month of June. Every Thursday. So get this information, study it. Matter of fact, I asked him, he never asked me what to say sometimes, but I know he had a great message with his group yesterday about how leaders go through things, other people leaders work around it. So maybe he'll give us that message this morning. Maybe he'll regurgitate that. Without further ado, my dear friend from Southern California, he's always laid back on our calls, a lot of great information, very methodical with it. And also he joins us for happy hour on Friday. And Mr. Russell, don't forget tomorrow night's happy hour as well. Bring the drinks on at 6 o'clock and let's have some fun. But without further ado, from Southern California, Platinum Regional Vice President, none other than the great Mr. Dean Tarrolly. Can we give a hand, everybody?
Mr. Thomas, what's going on?
Good morning.
Good morning. That is a cup of coffee and a half. Can you hear me okay?
Before I get started, yes, sir. I had a cup of coffee.
Okay, good.
We also have we also have IBOs in Japan that's on this morning from Japan. Our friends from Japan, there you go, Mr. Japan.
Wow.
And also Okinawa, we have people on, and also people on from India. Thank you so much for joining the call.
Wow.
So back to you, sir. I'm sorry.
Right on. No, Mr. Thomas, man, I appreciate it. It's yeah, so we're going to be hanging out for a few Thursdays here, so this is pretty exciting. So you guys, you know, there's man, there's a lot going on in it. There's a lot going on. And you know, I don't as we all get to know each other a little bit, I am not the person that won't acknowledge the elephant in the room, okay? And I think it's important. And I think it's important because with everything that's going on, I think people need to have a real sense of, well, a couple things, a sense of understanding and a sense of compassion. Because without those two things, I think that people, there has to be a sense of understanding and compassion for what people are going through right now, whether it is the events of the last 10 days, whether it is COVID and this pandemic and how it's affected everybody. And I do have a specific message, and I did get your message, Mr. Thomas, about going over some of the things that I covered on my leadership call yesterday, and I will do that. I sent you a text. I don't know if it came through or not, but I'm happy to do that. So I am going to cover some stuff that I think is important specifically for what we do. But all I want to do is just start this by knowing you guys, that I want to start this by having you guys all know that I'm not diving into business without understanding and trying to learn and the bigger picture. And we have a vehicle and an opportunity to be able to do something really remarkable with, by, and for people if given the opportunity. Right. So number one, I want to make sure that is clearly stated that I think this country and the world is going through a learning process that's all I'm going to say. And I hope people have their ears and eyes and their hearts open to what's going on. Okay. That's that. Second thing, I hope that you guys are all safe. I hope that everybody is safe and good. And you know, it's funny. I was online earlier. Now I don't know this to be a fact. You know, Mr. Thomas, you would know this more than me, or Mr. Baker would know this more than me. But apparently, Las Vegas almost had a record-setting night last night. I think people are so ready to try to find some normalcy and try to find the things back in their lives after this window of time. So that goes into part of what I want to talk to you guys about with what we have, what we're doing, the timing of everything in the world, and how this can, how you can be an agent of change in a positive way for somebody. So check this out, right? There are people right now that I believe are really looking forward. We're all looking forward to the world opening up. But here's the thing. This is just my opinion. I'm one guy. I don't think the world is just going to open up for everyone full blast right away. I think what's going to happen is, like, think about it. If you're a traditional business owner, think about this. Can you literally open your doors and have everybody back on the schedule, have everybody working again, rehire every employee, take everybody off of furlough, and now they're back? You can't do that. See, if you're a traditional business owner, and you guys, I have no way of knowing this to be 100% true. This is just my feeling on it. But I've been doing this for a long time. Like Mr. Thomas, here's what I think is going to happen. I think what's going to happen is places are going to reopen, restaurants, retail, stuff. And they're not going to be able to reopen to the extent that they would under normal circumstances. So what does that mean? Here's what I think it means. The 40-hour work week, the 40-hour per week person that was hired at ABC Shop, that person is not coming back with 40 hours. That person will be hired back, but it may be 20 hours. So I want you to think about this for a second. Really give this some thought. I've given this a lot of thought. What happens to those people that get hired back at 25% of the hours that they had and 25% of the income? So I want you to think about this. They're being hired back and they're going to take the job because they know eventually they're going to want their job back. The pandemic assistant and all this stuff is not going to last forever. Unemployment's 39 weeks. So they're going to take their jobs back. So that's number one. Number two, they're going to take their jobs back and they're not going to have as many hours at the job because the job can't open to full capacity because the world isn't ready to be at full capacity yet. So I want you to think about this. What a perfect storm for us to be out, talking to people, meeting people, going into places, wishing the business owners well. Oh my God, isn't it great to be back? I'm so happy to be back. I can't even tell you. You know, did they give you all your hours back? No. I mean, I was a 40, 50 hour a week person. Now I'm doing 15, 20 hours a week. Oh man. If you had something in addition to this, are you open to a quick conversation? Done. Conversation's over. But you guys, the fact that we're reopening and not everybody's going to be able to work to the degree that they want to literally could not be laid out more perfectly for what we have to offer somebody that can make a difference in their lives because of the circumstances that none of us had anything to do with. In fact, I'm going to tell you this. I think that this is for what we do. Now, you guys, obviously, we're hoping everybody is happy, healthy, and safe. But for what we do, this is almost the perfect mix because people need to get back to work. They're going to go back to work. They're not going to be able to work full time or bring in the kind of income that they were bringing in prior to this all happening. And you're going to have an answer for them to say, listen, I have something. If you're open to look, if you're not, no, don't worry about it. You guys, when you say, are you open to look? Yes or no, no worries. But just by saying that alone, you don't need them. You're not chasing them. You're not hunting them, right? You're kind of fishing, as we've talked about, last month at one point. What a perfect scenario for us to be able to bring the opportunity to someone. They're getting a taste. One of the things that we talk about in recruiting, right? So think about this. One of the things that we talk about when we're piquing people's interest or we're recruiting, we say things like, be the trailer, not the movie, right? Give them a sliver, not a slice, right? Pique their interest, give them just enough information to get them curious, but not enough information to inform them, because that's the job of the presentation. So we're in the exact same situation. If you see it, people are going to be going back to work. They're not going to get the hours that they need. They're not going to make the kind of money that they want because they don't have the hours, because the business can't provide the hours, because there's not enough business to give them the hours. So now we have something to fill the gap. We have something, you guys, you know, we do these calls. I've done a bunch of calls with Jocelyn, and she's heard me say this many, many times. Here's the thing. You have a way to bridge the gap. So before we were bridging the gap because everybody had to work from home. Now we're bridging the gap as people are starting to get back to full-time employment and income, hopefully. We have a way to bridge the gap. Until that happens, are you open? Are you open to take a look? So that's the first thing to understand, is the window of time that we're in, I think, is remarkable, because now listen to me, you're going to have access to people that you did not have access to a month ago. You're going to have access to people that you did not have access to a month ago. What does that look like? Go out, right? Go grab a cup of coffee. Go to a smoothie place. Go to any place where you can go. I would start to go. And what do? Do you hammer them over the head with peaking and all that stuff? No. Build a little rapport. Build a relationship. Stop back in there a couple times. You know, build a connection with people, right? Here's one of the things that I think is a difference between us and a lot of other companies. This should be an affair of the heart. This should be coming out of, yes, you're building a business, but this should be an affair of the heart, simply saying that I hope that when you talk to people, this is coming out of genuine care and wanting to be able to help someone. Are you open to look? See, if you say that to enough people, you're going to find an Al Thomas. They're out there. Someone spoke to Al Thomas years ago about the network marketing business model, and it made enough sense to him to get started. What that person may or may not have counted on is that someone like Mr. Thomas treated it as professional as he does, which is why he has one of the biggest businesses in the history of the industry, not just our company. So what I want you to know is there is someone like that out there who's going to be rehired back to work. The only question is, are you going to be speaking with them? Are you going to say something? So yesterday on one of the leadership calls, I know Natasha had a chance to pop on for a minute. There were a couple things that relate to what it is that I just talked about that I hope will help you guys. So here's something, and I'm going to, you know, I always ask Mr. Thomas first, because I know I think I was on for like 6 or 7 weeks straight. And then I think Mr. Thomas probably thankfully gave you guys a couple week break for me. And now I'm back. So Mr. Thomas, can I first one back, do I get to take the gloves off, or should I wait till we build up to that?
Sir, no, please do whatever you feel right. And I want to also, I also want to say this, it's your show. Go for it. We got Ms. Jocelyn Driscoll on listening. I love her comments. Also, as you do this, I want to also give a shout out to Mr. Sergio down there in Mexico watching and listening, joining us for now out as well. And also we have some other regional directors that have joined us. Mr. Chris King, Ms. Rose Guerrero also joined us. We have regional directors Curtis Evans and his lovely wife, Ms. Darlene Evans from South Carolina, just joined us. We have Ms. Luana Pinedo from Fresno, Ms. Evelyn just joined us from Fresno, Mr. Marvin Carter, other regional directors have joined the call. So we thank you, sir, and I'm glad they all jumped on. I just wanted to give respect to all the leaders that have joined us. So go ahead, sir, give it to us.
Absolutely.
Take the gloves off.
Well, you guys,
put our mouthpiece.
Hey, you know what's so?
Everybody put your mouthpiece in, because here it comes.
Here goes. Okay. So here's the thing, right? You guys think about this. Think about this, and I'll get to this point in a second. Think about what Mr. Thomas just did. I really want you to think about this. That's a theme today, because I think a lot of times what happens is we do calls, and I want you guys to get notes, because if you don't have the notes and you try to commit it to memory, you know how you guys probably by this time know how I feel about that. I'm not a big fan. I think it's really important to get the notes down. So what did I just get from what Mr. Thomas said? This is leadership. I mean, he just ripped off how many regional directors are on this call right now? Like, you guys, figure out the game. Like, there's other people hitting positions that you want to hit. Like, this is not you've heard me say this. This is not for the chosen few. This is for the few that choose. Well, there's way more than a few on here, right? So I think that was awesome. So I get to talk to some people that I'm going to be speaking with later today that I was privileged to be asked by a senior vice president to speak on a leadership call. And I couldn't believe the number of regional directors that he listed off were on this call. You know, a rising tide raises all boats. If you guys create an environment that raises the game, raises the environment, for one, it has to raise the environment for all if you participate. So kind of leads into what I was going to say. So congratulations to all of you guys. So as a leader, this is important. You guys have to decide what your level of, like, are you ready for the game? And here's what I mean. Are you prepared to give the right answers when the opportunity is presented to you? See, that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is there's a lot of people that they miss opportunities with people because they're unprepared at the time of opportunity. Okay, so you have to be prepared. What does that look like? It could be like this. You're in line at the deli and you overhear a conversation. And this is something that happens in the conversation. I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, we're opening up again, but you know, the casino's got me working 20 hours a week. It ain't going to be enough. I mean, I got to work because I pension and, you know, vested, but I mean, it's not going to be enough. You heard that. What do? You heard that. By the way, that's a real conversation. You're getting the oil changed at the car and there's somebody sitting there in the waiting room. I don't know what I'm going to do. And maybe they're talking to their husband or their wife or their spouse or their family member or their friend. I don't know what I'm going to do. What would you do when they hang up the phone and they're sitting there? And here, watch this real life scenario. What are you going to do when they hang up the phone and they go back to the magazine that's in the waiting room and they're reading the magazine? What would you do? You better have that answer figured out. See, are you prepared to give the answer when you're given the opportunity? Okay, so that's the first thing I want you guys to write down. And I hope that you wrote that down word for word. Are you prepared to give the answer when given the opportunity? I know that's why Mr. Thomas does these calls. In fact, you guys, I'll let you in on a little secret. I actually know that that's one of the reasons why he does the Friday night calls. He does the Friday night calls because he understands how important it is to build that relationship as a team. But he also understands putting the words in your ears so you can start to hear conversations from leaders like Mr. Thomas, like a Jocelyn Driscoll and some of the others that have been on that call. Are you prepared to give the answer when given the opportunity? I think that is tremendously important. And what can you do about it? Get better. How do you do that? Well, there's two ways. Number one, you got to learn from your experience, what's worked and what hasn't worked. And then you have to learn from other people's experience. And that's the idea of leadership and being able to hear. Maybe you guys get one thing that helps you from a call like today. Are you prepared when given the opportunity? Right? Now, how do you do that and not come across like somebody who is opportunistic? You have to do it with a sense of empathy, right? You have to do it with a sense of, you know, look, I'm not telling you to be Dr. Phil, overly sensitive person. I'm saying don't be that person who is like, oh God, why? What do you want? Like this, what do you want from me? Somebody feels like that, you got to work on your game. Somebody feels like that, you got to work on your delivery. You got to, you know, what did Jim Rohn say? The power of a well-chosen word. You got to work on what it is that you're doing. And who can do that? Only you. You're the only one. Leaders provide the environment. You have to do the work. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about first was, are you prepared to give answers when given the opportunity? And here's the other thing, especially right now. So there are really two things I wanted to cover today. That was one of them. Are you prepared when the opportunity arises? That's, by the way, that's what these calls that he does every day are about. It's about giving you information in a conversational format to prepare you to be able to get out there and have an intelligent conversation with respect to the circumstances that we're all going through. You guys, I'm telling you, it is a perfect mix right now for what we have to offer for someone. And here's what I think the word is. I think that what we have, and maybe this will help everybody, I think one of the things that creates fear and anxiety in people is a lack of control. They're not in control of their circumstances. Look, when we got shut down, when the country got shut down, we were not in control. We were not in control. And a lot of times in people's jobs, right? You guys know my story. I was bartending at night, golf business during the day, running around in commercial auditions and all this stuff. I was not in control of my circumstances, not even close. If I went into work, I got paid. If I didn't go into work, I didn't get paid. And I had to jump when there was an audition for me to run to. I'd change clothes, get home, change clothes, and I'm off to an audition. That's not being in control of my circumstances. Now, I had to do them, and I did them by choice because I couldn't just sit at home, but I wasn't in control of my time or income. Here, that's the exact opposite. And I believe that a lot of times people miss the absolute opportunity that's been given to all of us in that. And because you can't get fired, you don't treat it as seriously. And then you wonder why people like a Mr. on this call, like a Mr. Thomas or a Jocelyn Driscoll, or some of the regional directors that are on the call, why they're building businesses that are generating an income that are offsetting the issues and maybe even starting to create a lifestyle. You have to figure that out. Okay. So now here's the thing that those leaders do. Here's the thing that I know Mr. Thomas has done for decades in the industry. Here's the thing that I know that Jocelyn Driscoll has had to do and does to become a regional vice president. Coffee break. You guys can write this down. Leaders work around issues. Leaders work around issues. Leaders work around circumstances for themselves and for their teams. Leaders work around circumstances. Have we been thrown circumstances these last few months and this last 10 days? Yes, massive. Leaders work around them. See, what happens is, here's how the masses, in my opinion, you guys, and just know this, like the stuff that I give you in these conversations, you guys, this is reflecting and trying to share something based on my experience that I hope will help some of you guys. I hope it helps all of you. It will help the people that apply it, I believe. Leaders work around circumstances. Leaders are on a mission regardless of circumstance, right? There's all kinds of sports analogies. There's like military analogies. There's all kinds of things I could give you. If you're on a mission, and that's really what we're on. If we're on a mission and it rains, do you scrap the mission? If we're on a mission and it's kind of cold outside, do you scrap the mission? If there's a hailstorm, do you scrap the mission? You do not scrap the mission. You work around the circumstances that are given you to accomplish the mission. But the way that most people operate is this. It's raining, we're scrapping the mission. It's hailing, we're scrapping the mission. It's chilly outside, we're scrapping the mission. There's traffic, we're scrapping the mission. I have a little bit of a sinus thing, I'm scrapping the mission. You guys, leaders work around circumstances. The circumstances do not determine how the leader operates. The circumstances are not the determining factor. The circumstances are not the determining factor. The determining factor is the mission. So you have to be very clear about what your mission is and have a timeline associated with your mission. So let's talk to some of the ETLs on the call. Great. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to become a regional director. When? See, the most important question there is not the position, it's when. When are you going? When are you getting promoted? Really? Great. So once you sit with your leader and you figure out that timeline, then what you do is you work backwards from the timeline and figure out what I need to do. Well, here's what I know. Hopefully this isn't missed on you guys. Here's what I know. To become a regional director, you need a minimum of 600 customer points, and you can't count more than 200 points out of a team. Okay, that's cool. You get to include your own points. Let's not talk about that right now because that's kind of like icing on the cake. So let's just say for the purposes of this example, you have, and this is all going to come back to leaders working around circumstances. You need 3 teams of 200 customer points. Okay, great. Well, I don't really look at it that way. I look at it, I need 3 teams that have about 100 bills per team because the average service is about 2 points. So I need about 100 bills in 3 separate teams. Okay, that's cool. I get it. Well, now let's think about that. If we can get good at helping someone acquire 10 bills, 10 accounts, 10 somethings, right? Now what are we talking about? We're talking about 3 teams with 10 people in it. Oh, so you're telling me I'm 30 people away from becoming a regional director where my bonus income almost doubles? 30 people. Give me a break. 3 teams, 200 points per team. How about 3 teams, 100 bills per team? How about 3 teams, 10 people per team that we have to what? Help them get their services done. Now you guys are going to be popping regional directors like crazy if you embrace this, but you have to understand that understanding of regional director and what it takes to get to that position must happen regardless of circumstance. Now, look, you guys, I'm not some like insensitive, I mean, you guys should know this by now. What I'm saying is that I'm not talking about personal stuff and family stuff and things that require our attention, and you have to hit the brakes. That happens in every business. That happens in, like, we can't stop the circumstances of life. But what you can do is you can work, you guys look at, let's call it what it is. The majority of times that people say that they can't do things, these are not life-changing issues. These are convenience issues. These are not life-changing issues. These are people do not want to be inconvenienced to do the things that we set out to do because they cannot get fired if they don't do them. And a lot of times it's just easier to sit on the couch, grab the remote, Netflix and chill and all that other nonsense, right? I hope this makes sense to you guys. So if you understand that leaders work around circumstances, what do you have to get good at? You have to get good at resetting your map. You have to get good at look, you guys, if there is a detour on the way to where you are going, do you scrap the trip? Let's just stay in this little podunk town and we'll just tell the kids, don't worry about getting to the resort. We're going to hang out here for a few days. It's just too difficult. Absolutely not. The kids there'd be chaos. They'd revolt. Dad, you said we're going to the park. You said you were going to the resort. No, what you do is you reroute. You have to reroute to get to where you want to go. Most people won't take the time to reroute their business. What would that look like in what we do? Sometimes some of you might be spending time with people that you shouldn't be spending time with. Now, I don't mean on a personal level. I mean, you're trying to squeeze every bit of business out of this person, and that person is literally not returning calls, and you're kind of chasing them, and then it feels weird, and oh my God, and they don't like me, and what have I done? And I knew this wasn't going to work, and the reason is because, people know they're avoiding my calls. Well, they might be avoiding your call because you're trying to find out what you can get from them instead of how you can offer to help them. And when that conversation changes, and you guys, that conversation can change right from the start. If you can get really good at guarding your time, if you can get really good at guarding your emotion, if you can get really good at guarding your system to help someone succeed, and you guys know what I've said about this before, just do what Mr. Thomas is telling you to do. If you can do that, really great things will happen. But leaders do not fall prey to circumstance. The mission is bigger than the circumstances. You have to work around those circumstances. You have to work through those circumstances and keep the mission on point, keep the mission on target, keep the mission on track. And by the way, if you're a regional director on this call and on this Zoom, and you want to become a regional vice president, like RD wasn't the goal, and there's another position for you, figure it out. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? Figure it out. Map it out. What do you need? You need 3,000 customer points, no more than 750 points, and more than in 4 legs or more. Well, figure it out. Well, 750 points, okay. So I need 750 points per leg. Well, let's see. A regional director is going to be a minimum of 600 points. How great is it that you do not have to promote a regional director to become a regional vice president? But I'll tell you this, if you find someone who says they want to go and they start doing the things that are required, they call you without you calling them. They show up to calls like this without you reminding them. You see their personal customer points going up. You see them doing Zooms, and if someone is showing you that you may want to be spending some time with them, right? Like I see Brian Baker posting stuff all the time. I see Natasha. I mean, I don't know everybody on this call, but I see Natasha and a handful of you guys posting stuff all the time. Jocelyn Driscoll, she posts stuff all the time. It's like, well, something's going on with these people, right? So I'm not going to get into, because this is not my area of expertise, I'm not going to go into a social media. That is not what I'm going to do. But I am going to tell you that success leaves clues. And if you open your eyes, you're going to see some people that are actually doing some things to advance their businesses. And you want to know what, you guys, here's the best part. Here's the best part. When you understand how leaders keep the mission, the focus, regardless of circumstance. What happens is this: there are multiple elements that we all have that we can use to advance our businesses, and it protects against circumstances, right? If you put all your eggs in one basket with one person, you're screwed, because anything could happen to that basket, anything could happen to that person, and you're putting all your hopes in one. You guys, what you want to do is you want to have multiple people to be working with, because no two people are going to have the exact same personal circumstances. So you always have someone to be working with. And how do you protect against circumstances? Watch this. Let me see if I'm going to say this the right way. How do you protect against circumstances adversely affecting your business and your team? How do you protect against circumstances adversely affecting your business and your team? There's only one way that I know of. Be in phase one. Have a new person to work with outside of all those people. Have a new person to work with outside of all of them. And if you have a new person to work with outside of all of them, 2 very important things happen. Number 1, you're keeping yourself and your business on track regardless of circumstances. And number 2, you're giving everybody an example of what they should be doing. Well, Mr. Thomas, it's easy for him. He made multi-million dollars, flies around in private jets and da-da-da-da. You got it backwards. He doesn't have, he's not working because he has those things. He has those things because he's been working. because he takes, in my opinion, now again, I only do my calls, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure how people do one thing is how they do everything. I would be willing to bet all of you as leaders on Mr. Thomas's team that every single call he does like this, he's doing exactly what he's doing right now, taking notes. Taking notes. He's leading by example. He's building his book of knowledge. The most knowledgeable, successful person on this call is building his book of knowledge right in front of everybody. There you go. Just don't let your circumstances be the determining factor. Let your mission and your goal be bigger than your circumstances. Work around those circumstances and situations to get where you want to go, and just make sure that you do it with a sense of compassion to the environment that we're all working in and working through, and a lot of divide and a lot of things that we can actually be an agent of getting people together. We can be an agent of being something really positive in somebody's life. Greg Provenzano has said for years, keep the main thing the main thing. Those circumstances that come up in everybody's lives, right? We cannot control those circumstances, but we can control how those circumstances affect us, right? Like you guys already know, if you're business minded and business ownership minded, you know you're going to run into issues, you're going to run into challenges, you're going to have things inside and outside of ACN, inside and outside of building a team, inside and outside of a customer or a service issue. You're going to have those things, you guys. This is inevitable, right? It's never whether or not those things happen. It's always what is your response to them. Because that response does two really important things. Like I said, number one, it allows you to continue to build your business regardless of circumstances. And what it does is it gives an example to your team on how to be able to do this. So I hope that that helps. Those are the couple main things that I'd gone over with my team on one of my leadership calls this week. You guys, you know, we have an opportunity to make a difference for some people. We have an opportunity. Okay, hang on. I just got a question here. Let me see if I want to make sure I get this answered before we wrap up. When I say that you are an agent of change, what I mean is that you have the vehicle. If you have the vehicle and you have the knowledge, you can help change somebody's circumstances with those two things if they're a willing participant. That's what I mean when I say that you can be an agent of change. You can actually help positively impact somebody's lives somebody's life or a family's life through this business. But you guys, you know, if someone's not plugged in, and here's what I've been telling everybody lately, and then I'll wrap it up, Mr. Thomas. We have a lot of avenues for people to be able to plug into. We have the co-founder calls, the overviews that happen multiple times a day. I know that Mr. Thomas has calls that he runs either on a daily or weekly basis, Zoom calls. There's the Saturday training call that the company does, the Saturday morning call. In fact, I'm going to be training with Aaron Burt this week. So I'll be doing the national call for the company. There's you guys. Here's what I would tell you. Like the vitamins, one a day. Plug into something once a day. If a light is not plugged into an outlet, it does not matter how many times you turn it off and on. It's not turning on. Why? Because it's not plugged in. You just got to stay plugged in. That's part of the decision that someone would need to make to become a regional director or regional vice president one day. There's a lot of people that love to reinvent the wheel. I just don't think there's a need to it. I think it's just time that's not really well spent. Too many regional directors on this call. I don't know, 10, 15, 20, however many of you. Too many regional directors. Same comp plan, same system, same company, same co-founders. Why did they do it? And a whole bunch of people haven't. They made a decision to do it. And it's just a matter of making that decision. I am packed with presentations today. Leading up to, kind of a bigger group presentation at 6 o'clock tonight and some other stuff that's going on. I hope you guys find ways to pack your schedule. And if your schedule's not packed, it's okay. As the world is opening up, you're going to have an opportunity to go out and meet some people. I think that would be a very good use of time. Safely, but a great use of your time. So, Mr. Thomas, that's what I had for you for today. I hope that that was helpful. I know a whole bunch of people end up joining the call here. So.
We have a window of time, folks. Did you hear what Mr. Tarrolly started off with? We have a window of time. And I'm telling you what, you guys, we need to take advantage of it. And he did make a great point. Now it's time to really go out and talk to people face to face. The next, he said, number two, is are you preparing for when the conversation comes around that people need more income because their hours are cut? That was super powerful. And the third thing that I took away was leaders work around the issues. Wow, that was powerful. And last and certainly not least, leaders know the mission is more important than the situation or circumstances. Folks, that's what leadership is about. So I want to thank Mr. Dean Tarrolly for that great conversation today. I got 6 pages of notes over here, sir. As always, I'm taking notes on you, Ms. Drowse and Driscoll as well. Hey, folks, tonight at 6 o'clock, we'll be right back here on this number, same code to get in. We're going to be doing 1 through 10. Tonight with a quick start training tonight. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, our special guest speaker will be Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson will be with us tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And then tomorrow night at 6 o'clock is Al's happy hour. And we're encouraging all the regional directors, especially the regional vice president, Mr. Dean Tarrolly, to come back with his beer, and Ms. Jocelyn Driscoll to come back with her favorite wine. and show up on the call. We'd like to thank all our IBOs over in the IBOs over in Tokyo that are in watching the call today in Tokyo. We'd like to thank our IBOs, Mr. Sergio down in Mexico that are tuning in, as well as all the RVPs from around the country that are tuning in. And we'd like to thank thank you all. Tomorrow morning, like I said, Mr. Nelson will be back, and tonight at 6 o'clock, we're doing a 1 through 8. Got 10. Get your people back on here, and let's help them get started in the business. Can we show Mr. Dean Tarrolly some love, and also Ms. Giles and Joseph for joining us today? Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Ms. Giles Driscoll, thank you so much. God bless everybody. Have a safe day out there. Get out there, talk to people, because their income has been cut, even though they're back to work. God bless. Thank you so much. See everybody tomorrow or tonight.
Thanks, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Tarrolly.